I'm Rach, I'm the Keto Vegan. In this episode, I share a day in my life when I go out for dinner in the evening. So find out if I manage to stay keto and who I actually go out for dinner with. You'll also find out about ultra processed foods, UPFs. I found an article by Veganuary that I'm going to summarize for you. There's quite a bit of haters of UPFs, and are they right to be so strongly opinionated about that? Enjoy the episode. I start every day by peeing on one of these keto test strips. I find that they are one of the best options because they've got 5 times 25 aluminium sachets in a bottle, because they go stale and stop showing your levels pretty quickly. The darker the colour, the more ketones that you are losing, which means the more fat that you are burning. It's really great. It's also a really cheap option to keep track of the ketones. And this morning it was really lovely and dark, which was very encouraging, especially because of the hen do in Brighton on Saturday. I'm really back in ketosis. I wasn't really out of it either. I then go downstairs and make myself a fresh coffee. At the moment, I'm living, well, I'm a bit homeless, but I'm staying at Cookies. So I haven't got my bean to cup coffee machine with me. It's either in Annie's shed, or, because not all of my stuff fit in Annie's shed, look at this. So this is Annie's bar shed, and I've got loads of my stuff in there, and the lorries, my removal men, the lorries had about a third of my stuff in, and there was no way it was going to fit in there at all. Oh, look, it says fix lighting. Let's just fix the lighting on that one. So all my stuff was meant to fit in that shed. So I did give the measurements of that shed. It's a posh shed. It's not a shed, it's a bar, to the removal company, and it just did not fit in. Some of my stuff is outside Annie's, wrapped in tarpaulin, so you can see that pile there, my lawnmower and various other things, and 2 bookcases were out there as well that used to be in the garage. I now wrapped that in tarpaulin. I got 2 big bits of tarpaulin and went back the following weekend to wrap it all up. And the rest of my stuff went to storage with the removal people, and getting it all back in a month's time. I'm hoping to move a month today, so that's the last week of May. It's going to be like Christmas, unwrapping it all and getting all my stuff back. It's going to be so exciting. Anyway, I have my Nespresso machine here at Cookies, and so what I do in the morning, I have a Nespresso coffee, a small one, and if it is clear night, I then go outside and sit outside and have that coffee under the stars. So, and living here, there's no street lighting, and so there's no light pollution, and I haven't seen this many stars for years. It's beautiful. And this is when I wake up in the morning before the sun comes up. So at the moment it's before 5 a.m. if I'm lucky and wake up early enough. So once I've had my coffee, I get showered, and then I have my supplements. You can see 5 supplements that I have there. If you are listening and not watching, that is a natural eye complex, vitamin B12, electrolyte plus, omega-3 and vitamin D, all vegan. And what I do, I put them in a weekly little pot. That was my dad's when he needed lots of meds, and now I use it, save me getting out all those bottles each day. So I just empty those out and have those. Okay, so let's have a look at the recommended supplements that a keto person and a vegan should use, also should have. Healthline is pretty good. I've got the 9 best keto supplements here. The link for that is underneath. Do have a look at that. I don't have 9 supplements. The Electrolyte Plus, though, is a sort of combination of a variety of things. So they are saying magnesium is essential if you're on the keto diet. Obviously, if you're keto vegan, make sure everything is vegan. MCT oil, and I've spoken about this before, and I haven't had that. I'm thinking about whether to order some this week actually and see if that helps. Omega-3 fatty acids, I do have those. Vitamin D, I have that. Do have a look at that. The vegan recommended supplements are vitamin B12. And in this website, it tells you all the benefits and all the risks of not having it as a supplement. I've been taking B12 for a very long time. Vitamin D, I do have that, but I have that mainly because of the weather here. The long chain omega-3s, I do have that. Vegan, make sure you go for a vegan one. Iron, they recommend. Calcium, they recommend. Zinc, they recommend. And iodine as well. These are the ones that I get. I've found these websites I found them through Amazon. So the omega-3 algae oil, and it says here, so I did a 2-monthly delivery of that from a family-run company in Europe somewhere. But it does say it's currently unavailable, so I do hope that it's going to come through next time I want it. The eye supplement I have, because I read an article once by some guy, or one of those videos that tries to get you to buy something. Anyway, I did my own research. So my eyesight was pretty bad and I was needing glasses definitely at the end of the day, definitely in the morning, but it's now actually, believe it or not, much better. This has nothing to do with being keto. It's nothing to do with being vegan either. B12, I ordered these. There are loads, should last more than a year for those. Tiny little pills, but really great. And this is the company where I got my Electrolyte Plus supplements from as well. That looks like a pretty good company. All these links will be underneath. Okay, so I then leave for work. And before I leave for school, I normally take 3 pots out of the freezer, which will be my food for the day. I have one because I get hungry pretty early because I finish eating pretty early too. So I normally have 1 pot at 7ish. I try to push it a bit longer than that. My first break is at 10:20 until 10:40, so I have another pot then, and then lunchtime's at 12:40 to 1:40, so I have another pot then, and generally I stop eating after that. If I'm trying to lose weight, that's when I stop eating. If I just want to maintain, then I'm not so bothered about stopping so early, and I might have another pot maybe at 3:40 when school finishes. Today, because I'm going out for dinner in the evening, I take 2 pots, hoping against hope that I can last until break before I have my first pot. Now, today I got really hungry at 7 or 8ish, but I managed to have lots of tea and water and waited until break to have my first pot. So what I've got there, I have got a red Thai curry and a chili. So the pot on the right is a chili. It's frozen at this point, so you can't see the dark mince colour. I very handily, as you can see, have a microwave in my classroom. Right, I get home and I tried to upload the Glam Glitz Green episode. That's the previous episode. And when I tried to do it at work, it was telling me, because I'm using this new software, when I did it at work, it was telling me it's going to take 4 to 5 hours to upload. No, I haven't got 4 to 5 hours. I'm going out for dinner. So I cancelled it and I came home with my laptop. And luckily, Luke, the other lodger that lives here, he advised me to use this software. It's this DaVinci. And I knew that he would be able to tell me what I need to do, and absolutely he did, and that then uploaded really, really quickly. I'm loving this new editing software. It's DaVinci Resolve. Once I've managed to start uploading this software, I think, oh, that's really good. I'm so pleased. I've got about a couple of hours before I need to go and pick up Molly for dinner, so I have a small glass of Pinot Noir to celebrate. I pick up Molly, and if you want to know a little bit about Molly, I interviewed her, and it's episode 10. This episode was called An Eating Disorder Battle, How One Girl Survived Anorexia. Do find out more about that by watching that. Go back to episode 10. She was 18 on Monday, and I'm taking her out for her first legal drink and dinner too. She chose this restaurant that you can see here, the Lemongrass by Nazir in Rustington, which is near Worthing in West Sussex. I checked out the menu for days to see what I could have. So let's go down to see the menu. So we've got all these symbols here that mean all of the allergens, etc. And they've got some set menus. And then you go to starters. So you scroll down to vegetarian starters, and it tells you on every dish, every single dish, if it is gluten-free or vegan. So you can see here the vegetarian starter, vegan available, gluten-free not available. I and Molly both chose to share the vegetable tempura and the vegetable satay. Clearly, the vegetable tempura is covered in tempura, and so it's not keto. But I thought, I'm taking her out for dinner. I don't want to be really strict. Definitely staying vegan. We chose that. Molly chose I think, was it the massaman curry? I chose stir fry because I thought, okay, let's go for a stir fry. And I wanted some protein. Another thing as well, with vegan dishes at regular restaurants, they do not add protein. It's just vegetables. And I thought, well, I want some protein. I'll go for the cashew nut stir fry. So I ordered the cashew nut stir fry. So here's Moles when we went out for dinner. She really had a great time. It was lovely seeing her. Here's the restaurant as well. Beautiful Thai place. And here is our starter. So you can see the tempura vegetables and the satay vegetables. This is Molly's dish. That is the massaman curry, and she had rice with that. And here was my dish. I'd already eaten some by that point, so you do get more than that. But you can see most of the vegetables, even though it's a stir fry, were covered in tempura. So I went to bed that night just tasting the tempura batter all night. As I said, all the links to everything that I've talked about will be underneath. I'm now going to talk to you about UPF's ultra processed foods. Finally, in this episode, I want to talk about UPF's ultra processed foods. There are a lot of haters out there against vegan pretend proteins and dairy, saying they're UPFs, they're ultra processed, and they're really dangerous. So Veganuary, I get their monthly email or weekly email. I don't know how often it comes. They have addressed this issue and have written an article. I've got a link below in the show notes. So if you want to read it in full, have a look at that. So let's start by having a look at what processed foods are. We're not talking about ultra processed yet. We're talking about processed foods. Processed foods are anything that is frozen, canned, tinned, bread and baked goods, snack foods like crisps, cakes, biscuits, chocolate. There are some meats such as bacon, sausages, and salami that are all processed foods. What are ultra processed foods? Basically, if you look at the ingredients of a product, of a food, and it's got ingredients listed that you wouldn't have in your food cupboard, for example, that is considered on the whole an ultra processed food. They say it is quite complicated though, but let's stick with that. They say that the definitions of ultra processed foods come from NOVA, let's call it NOVA, which classifies foods based on their degree of processing. So they say there's 4 groups. 1, unprocessed and minimally processed foods, which includes things like fruit, vegetables, grains, herbs, nuts, meat, seafood, eggs, and milk. And they say the processing doesn't significantly alter the food. So you could freeze it, chill it, boil it, or chop it. Okay, so those are unprocessed and minimally processed foods. Number 2, processed culinary ingredients. So that includes things like butters, oils, lard, honey, sugar, salt. These substances, they say, are derived from group 1, but aren't consumed by themselves. But they put honey in there. Aren't they consumed? I suppose you put it on toast or in something. Processed foods is number 3. Those are things like tinned vegetables, salted nuts, salted, dried, cured, or smoked meats, tinned fish, cheese, fruit, and syrup. So those are processed foods. and they tend to have added sugars or salts. And the processes in the processing of the food are designed to make the food taste more palatable. Then, number 4 comes the ultra processed foods. And these include things like ready-to-eat products such as breads and buns, pastries, cakes, chocolate, and biscuits, as well as cereals, energy drinks, microwave and ready meals, pies, pasta, sausages, burgers, instant soup, and noodles. The Veganuary blog says that Nova's description or definition of UPFs is incredibly detailed. I guess if you want to find out more about that, then go do a Google search or an eCosher search or whatever. Veganuary does say that the telltale signs of UPFs are the presence of additives, flavor enhancers, colors, emulsifiers, sweeteners, and thickeners. And they say as well that the process of the processing or the methods of processing are as problematic as the ingredients themselves. What's the problem with UPFs then? They have been linked with a surge in obesity and cardiovascular disease, hypertension, certain cancers, as well as negative effects on gut health. And again, if you look at this article, they've got links there to what they are saying. They're not just making it up, they've got the research to back it up. It's also, UPFs have also received a lot of criticism for being heavily marketed and encouraging overconsumption. They say that in the UK, 50% of our energy intake is from UPFs. And we're not talking vegans here, we're talking the whole population. They go on to say that a recent study actually found that despite this controversy and this hate towards UPFs, that there are UPFs such as breads and cereals can be beneficial to our health. Just because it's labeled one way doesn't mean that it covers all terrible things. If we have a balanced diet and having UPFs that are high in fiber, for example, that's going to be beneficial for us. Now, the haters of vegan UPFs, because they think it's just, well, I don't know, the haters, they are saying, so plant-based UPFs have been singled out by the critics. Of course they have. The consumption of UPFs is not exclusive to vegans, to a plant-based diet. They haven't been consistently analysed and researched enough to see what the long-term effects are of eating a lot of UPFs, plant-based alternatives. As a keto vegan, I obviously do with my pretend chickens, pretend cheese, well, dairy, I just have the almond milk, which is obviously not a UPF. It's processed, but it's not ultra processed. More research is definitely needed on these before people can justifiably say whether they are seriously dangerous or not. We do know, though, that there is a high risk to eating processed meats. Also, non-vegan meats and cheeses are high in saturated fats, and we know those are not good for you. Plant-based proteins aren't all the same. If you do your research, so the company Planted, they have got so few ingredients in their protein options that there are no ingredients in those protein options that I don't recognize the name of. Whereas other companies would then have a look at the ingredients of the labels. I am not going to list them, but you have a look at what you are eating and see if you're happy with it, with the choices. Because we're keto and vegan, we have to keep our protein up. The UPFs that are plant-based are, if you look at the fiber content, the protein content, the fat content's pretty low, so we have to add other fats, don't we? But they are so good fiber and protein. They are beneficial for us in those ways. Have a look at the choices that you are making. If you can get hold of a vegan protein that's got so few ingredients, like Planted, get that as much as you can. Tesco in the UK sell Planted. You can go to Planted's website and order it direct from there if you want. Do your research. I always say that. Don't believe everything that I'm saying. I don't lie. but I'm doing the research from what I find. If you want to question it, do question it, do the research, find out. Don't believe everything you hear. That's just a little snippet about UPFs trying to stand up for the plant-based alternatives. We know the health benefits of a keto diet, the mental health benefits of the keto diet too. We know the health benefits of a vegan diet, not just for us, but for the planet, for the animals. Okay, next episode, I am going to do a day in the life of the keto vegan living at somebody else's house and doing a batch cook. Do I manage to not over batch cook because I've only got limited freezer space, or do I then run out of space and have to find alternative space for it? Do tune in next episode. I look forward to seeing you then. And don't forget to follow or subscribe. See you next time.